If you're over 50 and still arguing with your salad about whether to add croutons or bacon bits, welcome to the club. Aging brings a lot of questions like, is this joint pain new or just Tuesday? But one question seems to echo across doctors' offices, YouTube wellness channels, and family barbecues alike. What should I actually eat to age well? Enter the dietary title fight of the 21st century: low carb versus Mediterranean. One focuses on slashing carbs like it's a keto horror film. The other wants you to swim in olive oil while whispering sweet nothings to your vegetables. But which diet actually helps you age with grace instead of groans? Let's break it down. Both diets have their fans, their research backing, and their snazzy Instagram food aesthetics. But when it comes to aging markers like metabolic syndrome, chronic inflammation, and frailty, the two take some very different paths. This isn't just about fitting into your pants or outliving your high school rival. It's about keeping your cells humming, your joints mobile, and your brain on speaking terms with reality well into your golden years. First up, low-carb diets, which include everything from modest carb cutting to full-blown ketogenic regimens. These diets reduce carbohydrate intake in favor of fats and proteins, and their appeal lies in how rapidly they can improve markers of insulin resistance, lower triglycerides, and trim that persistent belly fat. For aging adults, especially those flirting with metabolic syndrome, that delightful combo of belly fat, high blood pressure, and cranky blood sugar, this can be a serious win. Several longitudinal and clinical studies show that low-carb diets can improve glycemic control, reduce fasting insulin levels, and even increase HDL, the good cholesterol. Some research suggests they may also reduce inflammation, particularly in the short term, by lowering levels of CRP, C-reactive protein. There's even data showing improved mitochondrial function and reduced oxidative stress in low-carb followers, which sounds like a sci-fi way of saying you might feel less tired when climbing stairs. However, the low-carb road isn't without its speed bumps. Very low-carb diets tend to limit fruits, legumes, and whole grains, foods that are nutritional rock stars when it comes to fiber, phytonutrients, and feeding your gut microbiome. And as you age, gut health starts playing a bigger role in everything from immunity to mood to inflammation. So while you may be running on ketones, your microbiota might be sending out tiny microbial SOS signals for reinforcements. Now let's saunter over to the Mediterranean diet, the breezy, olive oil-kissed lifestyle that makes aging sound like a vacation. This pattern doesn't shun carbs, but it chooses them wisely. Whole grains, legumes, fruits, and vegetables all get an enthusiastic thumbs up. Proteins are moderate, mostly fish and legumes, with red meat as a rare treat. And fats? Only the good ones, darling, mostly monounsaturated ones from nuts, seeds, and the aforementioned gallon of olive oil you're expected to drink weekly. The Mediterranean diet is less a diet and more of a lifestyle prescription for aging like an Italian nonna, slowly, deliciously, and surrounded by people yelling across a dinner table. Long-term studies, like Predimed and the Lion Diet Heart Study, show that this eating pattern reduces cardiovascular risk, supports cognitive function, lowers rates of depression, and improves longevity. It's also been associated with lower levels of systemic inflammation, better glycemic control, and even reduced frailty in older adults. In other words, it's kind of the full package, and it tastes like vacation. Where it really shines, though, is in its anti-inflammatory and gut-friendly prowess. Mediterranean diets are high in polyphenol, plant compounds that act like bouncers at a nightclub for free radicals, fiber, which feeds beneficial bacteria, and omega-3s from fish and nuts. These elements work together to reduce chronic inflammation and support metabolic health without the carb phobia of more restrictive plans. So, what's the catch? For one, the Mediterranean diet isn't always as fast-acting on weight or insulin levels as low-carb diets, especially for those with existing metabolic dysfunction. If you're pre-diabetic or dealing with high visceral fat, you might see quicker initial gains with carb restriction. But long-term, the Mediterranean pattern tends to be easier to stick with. Hello, pasta and red wine. And less likely to leave you crying in front of a bread basket. From a frailty standpoint, a crucial marker of biological age, the Mediterranean diet seems to have the edge. Several studies have linked adherence to this diet with reduced risk of muscle wasting, better mobility, and even fewer falls in older populations. That's a pretty big deal when the alternative is a slow slide into sarcopenia and a growing collection of mobility aids. What about brain health? Again, the Mediterranean diet, especially its cousin, the MIND diet, shows strong associations with reduced risk of dementia and cognitive decline. Low-carb diets are less studied in this arena, though early data suggests ketones might offer some neuroprotective effects, just not enough to declare them the cognitive champions. And let's not ignore the social factor. Mediterranean-style eating is often communal, joyful, and focused on fresh, seasonal food. Low-carb, on the other hand, can get lonely, especially when everyone else is passing around garlic bread and you're gnawing on a cheese stick like a survivalist in a bunker. So, which diet wins for aging? Well, it depends. If you're managing diabetes or severe metabolic syndrome, a low-carb diet might act as your nutritional emergency brake, bringing your markers under control fast. But for long-term aging well, meaning staying active, mobile, cognitively sharp, and socially engaged, the Mediterranean diet offers a gentler, more sustainable path. Or maybe, just maybe, the real answer lies somewhere in between. A Mediterranean-ish low-carb hybrid, where you ditch the ultra-processed carbs but keep the olive oil, leafy greens, and sardines. Add a few berries, some lentils, and the occasional espresso-fueled conversation, and you might just have the aging blueprint we've all been looking for. Because in the end, the best diet isn't just the one that adds years to your life, it's the one that adds life to your years. Preferably with feta.